The grand chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed with light reflecting off its crystal walls. Thousands of alien representatives sat in rising tiers that reached toward the distant ceiling, creating a living amphitheater of diverse species from across the known universe. Some floated in containment fields filled with their native atmospheres, while others sat in specially designed seats that accommodated their unique physiologies. James Walker stood at the center of it all, a single human figure in a simple blue suit. He felt small but refused to show it. His heart beat steadily as he waited for the chamber's automated translation systems to finish conveying his announcement to all present species. A 7-dimensional vessel. The first laugh came from somewhere in the upper tiers. It started as a low rumble, but quickly spread through the chamber like a wave. The Ancient One's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a floating silver sphere, moved forward. Its voice emerged as a series of musical tones that the translation system converted into words. Young species often confuse dreams with reality. We have watched your kind for centuries. You barely mastered atomic power a few generations ago. Now you claim to have surpassed even our understanding of dimensional physics. More laughter filled the chamber. Some species were literally rolling in their seats. A group of crystalline beings clinked against each other in their version of amusement, creating a wind chime effect that echoed through the chamber. Walker stood straighter. The Human Federation does not make claims without substance. We are prepared to demonstrate. Demonstrate, interrupted a massive creature that looked like a cross between an octopus and a mountain. Like you demonstrated your first faster-than-light drive. The one that exploded during its maiden voyage 50 years ago. The chamber erupted in fresh waves of amusement. Several species began projecting recordings of that infamous failure onto the chamber's walls. Earth's first FTL ship breaking apart in a spectacular array of light and debris. That was 50 years ago, Walker said firmly. We learned. We advanced. The Ancient One's representative pulsed with patterns that the translation system interpreted as condescending amusement. Your species has existed for less than a moment in cosmic time. We have guided the evolution of entire galaxies. We have shaped the very laws of three-dimensional space to our will. And you think you have discovered something we missed. Walker reached into his pocket and removed a small device. The chamber's security systems scanned it instantly, confirming it was just a simple holographic projector. He activated it, and above his head appeared a complex mathematical equation. The laughter gradually died down as the more scientifically advanced species began to study the equation. Several representatives leaned forward in their seats. Impossible, whispered a being made entirely of mathematical symbols. These variables, they suggest. A complete reformation of dimensional theory, Walker finished. Yes, we discovered that the universe's dimensional structure isn't rigid. It's more like a fabric that can be folded, stretched, and traversed, if you know how. The Ancient One's representative moved closer, its silver sphere humming with energy. These equations are clearly flawed. No species as young as yours could possibly grasp such concepts. You are like children playing with numbers you don't understand. Walker switched off the hologram and smiled slightly. Perhaps that's our advantage. We're too young to know what's impossible, too inexperienced to be bound by ancient limitations, while the great powers of the galaxy looked down from their heights of achievement. Humanity looked up and saw not a ceiling, but a starting point. This is no longer amusing, the Ancient One's representative declared. Such arrogance from a primitive species must be addressed. We cannot allow children to play with forces beyond their comprehension. The Council will appoint supervisors to oversee all human technological development from this point forward. Walker's smile didn't waver. With all due respect, that won't be necessary. We didn't come here seeking permission or approval. This was simply a courtesy notification. As he turned to leave, the laughter returned, but it had a different tone now, harder, more mocking, with an edge of anger. Walker maintained his dignified pace as he walked out of the chamber, the sounds of derision following him. What none of them knew was that humanity's 7-dimensional vessel was already built, and soon, Very soon, no one in the galaxy would be laughing. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, Dr. Anna Reed stood before a massive window overlooking humanity's greatest secret. The Infinity's Edge floated in a vast underground chamber, its dark hull absorbing the blue lights that danced across the liquid water around it. The ship didn't look particularly special. No unusual markings, no fancy designs, just clean lines and a smooth surface that seemed to shift slightly when viewed from different angles. "Status report," she called out, her voice carrying across the control room, where dozens of scientists and engineers worked at their stations. "All 7-dimensional drives are stable," replied Tom, her chief engineer. He hadn't left his station for 3 days, and the empty coffee cups around him proved it. "The ship's core is maintaining perfect harmony across all dimensional planes." Anna nodded, her eyes never leaving the vessel. 10 years of her life had gone into this project. 10 years of working in secret, hidden away under kilometers of ice, while the rest of humanity pretended to be far less advanced than they really were. The overhead speakers crackled. "Dr. Reed, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. The council meeting. It went exactly as planned." A small smile crossed her face. Of course it had. The aliens' arrogance was as predictable as it was useful. While they laughed at humanity's supposed claims, they never bothered to look deeper. Their monitoring systems searched for energy signatures they understood, for technology they recognized. The Infinity's Edge operated on principles so far beyond their understanding that they literally couldn't see it, even if it was right in front of them. "Show me the final test results," she ordered, turning to the main display screen. Complex graphs appeared, showing the ship's performance across all 7 dimensions. Regular ships existed in 3 dimensions and moved through the 4th time. Some advanced alien vessels could manipulate 5 dimensions, and the most powerful could barely touch the 6th. But 7, they thought it was impossible. "Look at these readings," Tom said excitedly, pointing to one particular graph. "When we activate the dimensional drive, the ship doesn't just move through the dimensions. It exists in all of them simultaneously. It's like being everywhere and nowhere at once." Anna understood his excitement. The theory had been mind-bending enough, but seeing it actually work, that was something else entirely. The ship could appear in multiple places at once, move in ways that defied conventional physics, and perform actions that would seem like magic to anyone limited to traditional dimensional understanding. "What about the crew?" she asked, turning to the medical section of the control room. Dr. Mike Harris, the head of medical research, looked up from his screens. "The neural interfaces are working perfectly. We've run over 1,000 simulations. The human brain is surprisingly adaptable to 7-dimensional awareness, especially with our enhancement systems. Captain Stone and his crew have completed all training scenarios successfully." Anna walked closer to the window, placing her hand against the cool glass. The ship seemed to ripple slightly at her movement, like it was responding to her attention. In a way, it was. The vessel's systems were partially consciousness responsive, another innovation that the aliens had dismissed as impossible. "Dr. Reed," called out a voice from the communication station. "We're getting reports from our deep space monitors. Several alien vessels have been detected moving toward the solar system. Looks like the Council isn't taking our announcement well." "How many ships?" she asked. "At least 300, including 5 Ancient Ones dreadnoughts. They're not trying to hide their approach. They want us to see them coming." The room fell silent. 300 ships would have been a death sentence for humanity just a few years ago. Now it was just another test for their new technology. Anna turned to face her team, her expression serious but confident. "Send word to Earth Command. Tell them Project Transcendence is ready. All systems are green. All tests are complete." She looked back at the Infinity's Edge, its hull now seeming to pulse with hidden power. "It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do." The message was sent, and throughout the facility, alerts began to sound. Crew members rushed to their stations. The time for secrecy was over. Soon, The aliens would learn that their laughter had been premature, and their mockery would come at a very high price. The Infinity's Edge awaited its moment, ready to change the course of galactic history forever. The United Earth Defense Chamber was packed with world leaders. Emergency lights cast a red glow across worried faces as they watched the main screen. The alien armada had just crossed Mars' orbit, their massive ships blocking out the stars behind them. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," announced General Robert Hayes, his weathered face illuminated by the display screens. "They want everyone on Earth to hear their message." The screen flickered, and the silver sphere of the Ancient One's representative appeared. Its voice boomed through the chamber speakers, translated into every human language simultaneously. "Primitive species of Earth," the musical tones carried unmistakable arrogance. "Your claims of dimensional mastery have forced us to take direct action. We cannot allow children to play with forces beyond their understanding. You have 48 hours to surrender all technological research and accept our permanent supervision." The sphere pulsed with bright patterns. "Refuse, and we will demonstrate true power. Your entire solar system will serve as an example to other young races who forget their place in the galaxy." The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in tense silence. 342 ships now detected, reported a young officer from her monitoring station, including 7 Ancient Ones dreadnoughts, not 5 as we initially thought. Each dreadnought is larger than Earth's moon. President Maria Torres stood up from her seat at the center of the chamber. "Show me the projected casualties if we fight them conventionally." A new set of numbers appeared on the main screen. They were staggering. Even with Earth's most advanced regular weapons, the best-case scenario showed billions dead in the first hour. "And if we surrender?" someone asked from the back of the room. General Hayes pressed a button, bringing up another report. "Their version of supervision would set us back 500 years. No space travel, no advanced computing, no quantum research. They'd turn Earth into a primitive reserve, studied and contained like animals in a zoo." President Torres turned to face the gathered leaders. "Then it's time for the Transcendence Protocol. General Hayes, send the order to Europa Station." "Already done, Madam President." Dr. Reed reports the Infinity's Edge is ready for deployment. Captain Stone and his crew are boarding now. The chamber's atmosphere shifted from despair to tense anticipation. Most people in the room had only heard rumors about Project Transcendence. They knew it involved revolutionary dimensional technology, but the details were kept secret even from most world leaders. "The alien fleet has stopped at Mars," the monitoring officer announced. "There, they're destroying Phobos. Mars's moon is just gone." The screen showed the devastation. Where Phobos had been, there was now only scattered debris. It was a clear demonstration of power, meant to frighten Earth into submission. "A message from Dr. Reed," General Hayes said, his voice cutting through the shocked murmurs. "The Infinity's Edge is launching." The room fell silent again as a new image appeared on the screen. The vessel rose from Europa's icy surface, water freezing instantly in its wake. It looked deceptively simple, a dark hull about the size of a small aircraft carrier, smooth and featureless. "That's it?" one of the leaders asked. "That's what we're betting humanity's survival on." President Torres smiled slightly. "Watch." The Infinity's Edge accelerated, but not in any normal way. It seemed to stretch and blur, like a reflection in disturbed water. One moment it was near Europa. The next it had crossed the entire solar system. The alien fleet's sensors didn't even register its passage. "Message from Captain Stone," General Hayes announced. He says, a rare smile crossed the general's face. He says it's time to show the galaxy why they shouldn't laugh at humanity. The Ancient Ones must have detected something, because their fleet suddenly began to move, massive weapons charging with energy that distorted space itself. "They're preparing to fire," the monitoring officer reported. "Impact in 30 seconds. President Torres straightened her back. "Send one last message to the alien fleet. Tell them they had their chance to treat us as equals. Tell them." She paused, looking at the image of humanity's greatest achievement facing down the galaxy's most powerful ships. "Tell them the laughter stops now." The next 30 seconds would change the course of human history forever. The crisis had reached its breaking point, and the true power of seven-dimensional warfare was about to be revealed. Captain Michael Stone sat in the command chair of the Infinity's Edge, his mind connected to the ship through the neural interface. The crew of 12 were similarly linked, each feeling the vessel as if it were an extension of their own bodies. Through the ship's sensors, they could perceive all 7 dimensions simultaneously, a sensation that had taken months of training to get used to. "Ancient One's fleet is charging their main weapons," reported Lisa, his weapons officer. Her voice was calm despite the massive alien ships filling their view. "Their energy readings are off the charts. One blast could crack a planet." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "And their scans of us. Still nothing significant, sir," said Jack from the sensor station. "They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Just a small, unremarkable vessel. Their most advanced scans are sliding right past our 7-dimensional structure. It's like trying to read a book by only looking at its edge." The neural interface hummed in Stone's mind as the ship's systems updated him on their status. Every part of the Infinity's Edge was functioning perfectly, its revolutionary technology hidden behind layers of dimensional shifting that made it appear primitive to conventional sensors. A transmission cut through their communications. The musical voice of the Ancient One's representative filled the bridge. "Your attempt at defiance is noted, humans. One small ship against our armada. This would be amusing if it weren't so pathetic. Return to Earth and accept our terms, or be destroyed with the rest of your civilization." Stone pressed a button on his chair. "This is Captain Michael Stone of the Infinity's Edge. We're exactly where we need to be." "Your bravery is meaningless," the alien voice replied. "Our weapons are locked on your position. Your ship's primitive design can't even detect the full scope of the power aimed at you right now." The crew exchanged knowing looks. The aliens had no idea that the Infinity's Edge could perceive far more than they imagined. "Sir," Lisa called out, "they're launching their first wave of attacks. Multiple dimension warping weapons locked onto our position." Stone nodded. "Everyone, initiate full neural synchronization. Let's show them what 7 dimensions really means." The crew's minds merged more deeply with the ship's systems. The Infinity's Edge hummed with power that the alien sensors still couldn't detect. Through their neural links, each crew member could feel the approaching energy weapons, not just their physical presence, but their movement through all accessible dimensions. "They're firing," Jack announced. Massive beams of energy erupted from the alien ships, distorting space itself as they approached. The Ancient One's weapons were designed to attack through multiple dimensions, making them impossible to dodge or defend against by conventional means. But the Infinity's Edge wasn't conventional. "Dimensional shift, pattern alpha," Stone commanded. The ship responded instantly to his thoughts. To the alien fleet, it looked like their attacks had hit perfectly. Their sensors showed the human vessel being engulfed in weapon fire powerful enough to destroy a small moon. Several alien crews already began celebrating what they saw as an easy victory. Then the smoke cleared. The Infinity's Edge hung in space, completely untouched. Not even its paint was scratched. "Impossible." The Ancient One's transmission crackled with distortion. "Our sensors confirmed a direct hit." "No," Stone replied calmly. "Your sensors showed you what you expected to see. Would you like to know what really happened?" Through the neural interface, Stone had felt the alien attacks pass harmlessly through the Infinity's Edge. The ship had shifted slightly in the higher dimensions, allowing the energy weapons to hit where they had been, rather than where they actually were. A maneuver impossible to comprehend without 7-dimensional awareness. "This is your final warning." The alien voice had lost its musical quality, now harsh with anger. "Surrender or—" "I think," Stone interrupted, "it's time we showed you what our ship can really do." He turned to his crew. Battle stations, everyone. Let's give them a demonstration they'll never forget. The Infinity's edge began to power up its own weapons. As energy coursed through its 7-dimensional matrices, the ship's appearance finally began to change. Its dark hull started shifting in ways that hurt to look at, patterns moving in directions that shouldn't exist. For the first time, the alien sensors began registering power readings from the human vessel. And for the first time in millions of years, the Ancient Ones felt something they had long forgotten. Fear. The alien armada unleashed everything they had. 300 ships fired simultaneously, their weapons turning space itself into a storm of destructive energy. Beams of light twisted in impossible ways as the Ancient Ones deployed their most advanced 5-dimensional weapons. The scale of the attack was enough to shatter a planet. Inside the Infinity's edge, Captain Stone watched calmly through the neural interface. "Lisa, begin recording. Earth needs to see this." Recording started, "Sir," Lisa responded. Her mind linked with the ship's weapon systems. "Their attack will reach us in 3 seconds." The crew felt rather than saw the incoming assault through their neural connections. In their enhanced perception, the alien weapons appeared primitive and slow, like stones thrown at a fighter jet. "Defensive pattern Delta," Stone ordered. "Show them why 7 dimensions be 5. The Infinity's edge responded instantly. To an outside observer, what happened next would have been impossible to comprehend. The ship existed in multiple states simultaneously, spreading itself across dimensional planes that the alien sensors couldn't even detect. Their mighty weapons passed through space that seemed to contain the human vessel, but somehow never made contact. "No damage," Jack reported from his station, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Their weapons are passing through all possible locations we could be in, except the ones we actually are." The Ancient One's representative's voice boomed through the communication system again, but this time it carried an edge of uncertainty. "What trickery is this? No vessel can evade attacks across all known dimensions." "Known to you," Stone replied. "That's the key phrase." He turned to his crew. "Time to return fire. Single shot, minimal power. Let's show them what they're dealing with." Lisa's fingers danced across her console. "Weapon charged, Captain." 7-dimensional targeting matrix engaged. The Infinity's edge's main weapon looked deceptively simple, a small protrusion that barely extended from the hull. But as it activated, space around the ship began to twist. Not just in the visible dimensions, but in layers of reality the aliens had never imagined possible. Fire. A single pulse of energy left the human ship. To the alien fleet's sensors, it seemed to vanish the moment it was fired. Their defensive systems registered nothing, detected no incoming threat. Then one of their smaller ships simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. The vessel was there one moment, and in the next, it had been unraveled across 7 dimensions simultaneously. The surrounding ship's sensors couldn't even process what had happened. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Ships began breaking formation, their crews suddenly realizing they were facing something beyond their understanding. Impossible. The Ancient One's transmission was filled with static. "Your technology. It cannot." "Can't what?" Stone asked, his voice level. "Can't exist. Can't work. Can't be in the hands of primitive humans." He stood from his command chair, though he maintained his neural link with the ship. "You had a chance to welcome us as equals. Instead, you chose mockery and threats." 3 more alien ships fired at the Infinity's edge. This time, the human vessel didn't just evade. It seemed to absorb the energy attacks and reflect them back through dimensions the aliens couldn't perceive. The attacking ships found their own weapons hitting them from angles that shouldn't have existed. "Their fleet is breaking apart," Jack reported. "Several ships are attempting to retreat, but they're having trouble creating stable escape vectors. Our presence is disturbing their dimensional drives." Stone nodded. "Send a message to all ships. This is your final warning. Retreat now, or face the consequences of your arrogance." For a moment, space was silent. The alien fleet hung motionless, their mighty weapons suddenly seeming less impressive. The Ancient One's dreadnoughts, each larger than Earth's moon, now appeared less like unstoppable juggernauts and more like massive targets. Then one of the alien ships fired again. "They've made their choice," Stone said quietly. He sat back in his command chair, his connection to the ship deepening. "All crew, prepare for full combat operations. Let's show the galaxy why humanity doesn't just think in 3 dimensions anymore." The Infinity's Edge's hull began to glow with an inner light that pulsed in patterns that hurt to look at. 7-dimensional space twisted around it as the ship prepared to demonstrate the true meaning of advanced warfare. The real battle was about to begin. The Infinity's Edge moved through space in ways that defied conventional physics. It wasn't just that the ship was fast. It existed in multiple places simultaneously, attacking from positions that the alien fleet's sensors insisted were impossible. 7 Ancient One's dreadnoughts moving to surround us, Jack reported from his station. "They're trying to trap us in a dimensional cage." Captain Stone felt the massive alien ships through his neural link. Each dreadnought was generating enough energy to power a small star, their ancient technology working to create a prison of warped spacetime around the human vessel. "Let them try," Stone said calmly. "Lisa, target the lead dreadnought. Show them what true dimensional warfare looks like." The Infinity's Edge's weapons came alive, but instead of firing energy beams or missiles, the ship began to manipulate the very fabric of reality. Through their neural interfaces, the crew could see what was happening across all 7 dimensions. "Dimensional strike commencing," Lisa announced, targeting their 4th-dimensional anchor points. The attack was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Infinity's Edge didn't just hit the alien dreadnought. It struck the massive ship in every dimension simultaneously. The Ancient One's vessel, proud and mighty for millions of years, found itself being pulled apart not just in space, but in ways its crew couldn't even comprehend. By the eternal stars, the Ancient One's representative's transmission was filled with horror. "What have you done?" The dreadnought disappeared, not with an explosion, but with a quiet ripple that spread across multiple dimensions. Its matter hadn't been destroyed. It had been redistributed across dimensional planes that the aliens didn't even know existed. 5 more dreadnoughts are powering up their main weapons, Jack called out. They're drawing power directly from surrounding space. Energy readings are off the charts. Stone nodded. "Time to show them our full capabilities. All crew, initiate Protocol Omega." The crew's neural links deepened, their minds merging more completely with the ship's systems. The Infinity's Edge began to change. Its hull shifted through colors that human eyes had never seen, its form existing in multiple dimensional states at once. The alien fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams, missiles, and dimensional weapons converged on the human ship's position. It was enough firepower to shatter a solar system. But the Infinity's Edge wasn't there. Or rather, it was everywhere. The human vessel split its existence across all 7 dimensions. Parts of it phased through higher dimensional planes, while other sections operated in normal space. It attacked from angles that shouldn't have existed, struck at points that the aliens couldn't defend because they couldn't even perceive them. "Their fleet formation is breaking," Lisa reported with quiet satisfaction. "Multiple ships losing power. Their dimensional drives can't handle the strain of our attacks." Through the neural interface, Stone could feel the alien fleet's desperation. Their mighty weapons, terror of the galaxy for millions of years, couldn't touch a ship that existed partially outside their reality. Their impenetrable shields meant nothing against attacks that hit them from the 7th dimension. "Message from the Ancient Ones," Jack announced. They're requesting to surrender." The bridge fell silent. In less than 10 minutes of actual combat, humanity's single ship had done what no species had managed in millions of years, forced the Ancient Ones to admit defeat. Stone stood up, his neural link showing him the devastation around the Infinity's Edge. Nearly a third of the alien fleet had been erased from normal space. The rest were either disabled or trying desperately to retreat through their suddenly unreliable dimensional drives. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. The communication system activated, carrying his voice to every vessel in the fleet. "This is Captain Stone of the Infinity's Edge. Your surrender is accepted on one condition. Remember this day. Remember what happened when you underestimated humanity. Remember what happened when you chose mockery over respect." He paused, looking at the massive dreadnoughts now powering down their weapons. "And most importantly, remember that we showed mercy when we had the power to do otherwise, something you might have done well to consider earlier." The Ancient One's response came quickly. "We understand. The galaxy will know of this day." Stone smiled slightly. "Yes, it will. But not as a day of humiliation or defeat. This will be remembered as the day the galaxy learned a valuable lesson about judging younger species." The Infinity's Edge powered down its weapons, its hull settling back into normal space. But every alien sensor could still detect the impossible power hidden within the human vessel, power that had changed the balance of the galaxy forever. 1 week after the battle, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Gone was the mocking laughter, replaced by a tense, respectful silence. The Ancient One's representative's silver sphere hovered at a noticeably lower height than before, a subtle but clear sign of changed status. James Walker stood at the center again, but this time no one dared to interrupt him. Behind him floated a hologram of the Infinity's Edge, its dark hull a reminder of how drastically the galaxy's power balance had shifted. "Humanity accepts our new position on the Council," Walker announced, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "But we have conditions." The chamber remained silent. Several species that had laughed the loudest at humanity's previous appearance now seemed to be trying to make themselves as small as possible in their seats. "First," Walker continued, "all restrictions on developing species will be lifted. No more supervision of younger civilizations. Every species deserves the chance to grow at their own pace, make their own discoveries." The Ancient One's representative moved forward slightly. "And if they develop dangerous technologies, like we did?" Walker asked with a slight smile. "The galaxy survived our advancement. It will survive others. But more importantly," he gestured to the hologram of the Infinity's Edge, "we will be watching to ensure no species faces the kind of prejudice we encountered." In the Europa base below the ice, Dr. Anna Reed watched the transmission with her team. The facility had become a hub of activity, with scientists from across Earth working to understand and improve their 7-dimensional technology. "Dr. Reed," Tom called from his station, "the first scans from the modified probe are coming in. You're going to want to see this." She walked over to his screen. The probe, equipped with a scaled-down version of the Infinity's Edge's sensors, was sending back data from the edge of known space. What they saw made her breath catch. "Are those?" "Yes," Tom confirmed. "Dimensional signatures we've never seen before. Hints of 8th, 9th, maybe even 10th dimensions. The universe is bigger than even we imagined." Back in the Council chamber, Walker was concluding humanity's terms. "Finally, we propose the establishment of a new division within the Council, the Department of Dimensional Research and Exploration, open to all species, sharing all discoveries." Captain Stone, standing at the back of the chamber, smiled as he heard several species representatives whispering excitedly among themselves. The fear was giving way to curiosity, to possibility. The Ancient One's representative moved to the center of the chamber. "We accept humanity's terms." And we, the musical tones, carried a note of humility that had never been heard before. "We offer our formal apology for our previous treatment of your species." Walker nodded graciously. "Apology accepted. Now, shall we begin our first joint research project? Our scientists have detected some rather interesting dimensional signatures that we believe everyone will want to explore." As the Council chamber erupted in excited discussion, Captain Stone's neural link buzzed with a priority message from Earth Command. The Infinity's Edge was needed again, not for battle this time, but for exploration. Those new dimensional signatures Dr. Reed had detected needed investigation. He slipped out of the chamber quietly, making his way to where his ship waited in orbit. His crew was already boarding, eager to see what new discoveries awaited them in the depths of space. In schools across Earth, children looked up at the night sky with new wonder. History books were being rewritten, and in every new edition, there was a chapter about the day humanity proved itself to the galaxy. Not through war, though they had won the battle, but through their willingness to share knowledge and help others advance. The ancient ones returned to their home systems changed. For the first time in millions of years, they had found something new to learn. Their vast archives now had a new section dedicated to seven-dimensional physics, with plenty of space for future discoveries. And in the great void between the stars, the universe itself seemed to pulse with new possibility. Humanity had unlocked one door, but countless others waited to be discovered. The laughter had stopped, yes, but it had been replaced by something far better: the shared excitement of exploration and discovery. The new era had begun, and it held wonders beyond even 7 dimensions.